you have $670 million. Nobody knows. Not your neighbors, not your old college roommate, not the barista who makes your coffee every single morning, not even your own extended family. To every single person around you, you are just normal, ordinary, forgettable. But behind that quiet, unremarkable life, you are sitting on more wealth than 99.9% of every human being who has ever walked this planet. This is Ron, and today I want you to imagine something most people will never even let themselves dream about. Not becoming a millionaire, not becoming a billionaire influencer with a private jet and 100 cameras following you. No, I want you to imagine becoming something far rarer, far smarter, and far more powerful. A silent millionaire. Before we go there, hit that like button right now and subscribe to this channel, because what I'm about to walk you through is going to completely change the way you think about money, privacy, and power. Let's get into it. Let's start with the number itself. $670 million. Say it slowly. $670 million. Most people cannot even picture what $1 million looks like in real life, let alone 670 times that amount. So let's make it real. If you spent $1,000 every single day of your life, spending it on nothing but pure waste, it would take you over 1,800 years to run out of that money. You could buy a brand new luxury car every single week for the rest of your life and still have most of your fortune untouched decades later. This is not rich. This is a different category of existence entirely. This is generational, dynasty-level wealth. And yet, in this story, nobody around you has any idea it exists. Why does that matter? Because the moment the world finds out how much money you have, your entire life changes, and rarely for the better. Let's talk about what actually happens when wealth becomes public, and why the smartest, most sophisticated money holders in the world go to extreme lengths to stay invisible. First, visibility invites danger. The instant people know you have serious money, you become a target. Not just for scammers and con artists, though there will be plenty of those lining up. You become a target for kidnapping threats, for extortion attempts, for lawsuits filed by strangers hoping you'll settle just to make them go away. Security experts who work with ultra-high net worth families will tell you the same thing over and over again. The single greatest threat to a fortune is not a bad investment, it's exposure. Second, visibility destroys relationships. The moment people learn what you're worth, something in the way they treat you shifts, often without them even realizing it. Old friends start acting strange around you. Family members you haven't spoken to in years suddenly reappear with a heartfelt story and a business proposal. Every conversation about money becomes loaded, because now there's an elephant in the room that never leaves. Silent wealth protects the one thing that money can't buy back once it's lost. Genuine, uncomplicated relationships with people who like you for you, not for your bank account. Third, visibility invites lifestyle inflation, and lifestyle inflation is the silent killer of fortunes. Ask any wealth manager who has watched a family blow through a fortune in one generation, and they'll tell you it almost never starts with one giant, reckless purchase. It starts small. A slightly nicer car, a slightly bigger house, a few more dinners out. But once people know you're wealthy, the social pressure to perform that wealth becomes enormous. Silent millionaires never fall into that trap because nobody is watching, so nobody is expecting a show. So how does a silent millionaire actually live? Let's build out the blueprint, piece by piece. The first rule is structural invisibility. Real wealth at this level is almost never held in your personal name. It sits inside trusts, holding companies, and layered legal entities, each one adding a wall of privacy and protection between your name and your assets. A properly structured revocable or irrevocable trust doesn't just help with estate planning and avoiding probate. It also means that if someone searches public property records, business filings, or court databases, your name simply doesn't show up connected to the wealth. The house is owned by a trust. The investment portfolio is held under an LLC. The private jet, if there is one, is owned by an aviation holding company. You personally show up on paper as nobody special. The second rule is behavioral invisibility. This is the part most people get wrong, because they think hiding wealth is only about paperwork. It's not. It's about daily habits. A silent millionaire drives a reliable, unremarkable vehicle. They live in a comfortable but not ostentatious home, in a neighborhood where nobody blinks twice. They wear normal clothes. They avoid designer logos plastered across every item they own. Not because they can't afford luxury, but because true financial power isn't about being seen. It's about being free. Free from judgment, free from targeting, free from the exhausting performance of success that eats so many people alive on social media. The third rule is diversified, boring, unglamorous asset allocation. Silent millionaires are not chasing meme stocks or trying to time the next speculative bubble for a dopamine hit. Their money sits across index funds, blue-chip dividend stocks, municipal bonds, real estate holdings, and private equity positions, spread across multiple accounts, multiple institutions, and sometimes multiple countries. This isn't about being flashy. It's about durability. Wealth that lasts for generations is boring wealth. It's wealth that compounds quietly in the background while its owner lives a completely unremarkable public life. Now let's talk taxes, because this is where silent millionaires separate themselves from anyone who just got lucky with a windfall. At this level of wealth, taxes aren't handled with a single accountant doing your return in April. There's an entire private team, tax attorneys, certified public accountants who specialize in high net worth structuring, estate planning specialists. Their entire job is legally minimizing the tax burden using every tool available. Charitable trusts that provide deductions while funding causes you care about. Opportunity zone investments that defer and reduce capital gains. Strategic gifting within annual exclusion limits to move wealth to the next generation slowly, quietly, and legally, years before anyone ever needs to know a transfer even happened. Let's also talk about banking. A silent millionaire does not walk into a regular retail bank branch and open an account like everyone else. They work with private banking divisions, the kind that requires a minimum relationship of several $1,000,000 just to get in the door. These private banking teams offer something retail banking never can: absolute discretion, dedicated relationship managers, and financial structuring that keeps large transactions from ever raising red flags or appearing on public radar. Money moves quietly, in the background, the same way it was earned. Now here's something most people never think about: the psychological side of silent wealth. Having $670 million and telling absolutely nobody requires a level of internal discipline that very few people ever develop. Humans are wired to want recognition. We want people to know we've made it. We want the validation. And that is exactly why so many lottery winners, so many overnight success stories end up broke within a few short years. They cannot resist the urge to show it off. And showing it off invites every predator, every bad decision, and every relationship built on the wrong foundation straight into their life. The silent millionaire trains themselves out of that urge entirely. They find their satisfaction internally, not externally. Their confidence doesn't come from what other people think of their car or their watch or their house. It comes from the quiet knowledge that they, and only they, control their own destiny, completely insulated from outside opinion. This is, honestly, one of the most powerful mental shifts anyone can make, whether you have $670 million or $670. Real security isn't built from what other people see. It's built from what you know to be true about your own foundation. Let's talk about what a single day might actually look like for someone living this way. Mornings start simply. Maybe a modest home office, a laptop, a cup of coffee made at home rather than bought. There's a call with the family office, the private team managing investments, coordinating with attorneys, tracking performance across dozens of holdings. But from the outside, if a neighbor saw this person leave the house, they'd just see someone heading out for a normal day, dressed casually, driving something practical. Lunch might be at a regular restaurant, paid for in a completely unremarkable way. In the afternoon, maybe a meeting about a new real estate acquisition, structured entirely under an LLC that nobody outside a small circle of professionals will ever connect to this person's name. And in the evening, dinner at home, family time, absolutely no indication whatsoever to the outside world that anything unusual is happening in this household at all. This is the paradox of true wealth at the highest level. The people who have the most very often appear to have the least. Meanwhile, the people flashing the most on social media, the rented supercars, the fake watches, the staged private jet photos, very often have almost nothing behind the image at all. Real financial power has gone quiet, and it's been that way for a very long time, among families who understand the game far better than the rest of us are ever shown. So let's bring this back to something practical, because this video isn't just meant to be an interesting thought experiment. It's meant to shift how you think about your own financial journey, no matter where you currently stand. You don't need $670 million to start applying silent millionaire principles. You can start structuring your own privacy today. Keep your financial numbers off social media entirely. Avoid discussing your income, your savings, or your investments with people who don't need to know. Build your asset base quietly, using boring, proven vehicles like index funds and retirement accounts, rather than chasing the next flashy trend everyone is talking about online. Live below your means, regardless of what your means actually are, because lifestyle inflation destroys wealth at every single income level, not just at the top. Consider legal structures earlier than you think you need them. Even a modest real estate investment can benefit from being held inside an LLC. Even a moderate estate can benefit from a basic trust structure to avoid probate and maintain privacy for your family later on. These tools aren't reserved exclusively for the ultra-wealthy. They're simply used most skillfully by the ultra-wealthy, and that skill is available to anyone willing to learn it. And most importantly, separate your self-worth from your net worth, and separate both of those from what other people are able to see. The most financially powerful people on this planet, the true silent millionaires and billionaires living among us right now, completely unnoticed, have already mastered this lesson. They don't need anyone's validation because they've built something far more durable than a public image. They've built quiet, generational, protected freedom. So here's the real question this video leaves you with. If you had $670 million tomorrow, and absolutely nobody on Earth knew about it, would you actually be able to stay quiet? Or would the urge to show it off, to prove something to somebody, eventually win? Real wealth isn't loud. It never has been. It's patient, it's structured, it's protected, and most of all, it's private. And whether your number today is $670 or $670 million, the principles are exactly the same. Build quietly, protect fiercely, let your results speak in your bank statements, not on your social media feed. If this video gave you a new way of thinking about money, privacy, and real financial power, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel for more, and drop a comment letting me know. Could you actually stay silent? This is Ron, and I'll see you in the next one.